The air was thick with tension as Clara stood in the dim foyer of the manor. Her breath came in short gasps, her heart racing as she reread the invitation in her trembling hands. The Trial of Shadows. Survive the night. Reap the reward. The lure of riches as jewels, cash, even luxury cars, had brought her here, along with the whispered rumors of those who had supposedly won the trial. Yet, no one in her town had ever seen the victors again. A sick sense of foreboding twisted her stomach, but she swallowed hard, forcing herself to stay. A clock struck midnight, the chimes echoing like funeral bells. The flickering chandelier above dimmed, plunging the room into near darkness. Clara's instincts screamed at her to leave, but the heavy oak door had already slammed shut behind her, sealing her fate. The silence was broken by a voice, low and guttural, that seemed to come from the walls themselves. "Welcome, contestant. Your trial begins now. Survive. And the riches are yours." The words sent shivers down her spine. A faint glow appeared on a table nearby, illuminating a single note. "Do not look back." She read it twice, her hands trembling. Then, from somewhere in the shadows, came a sound, a soft, deliberate scrape, like nails on wood. Clara's breath hitched. She clenched the note tighter, her eyes darting toward the hallway ahead. The scrape turned into a series of slow, deliberate footsteps. Her pulse thundered in her ears. She tried to steady her breathing as she forced herself to move forward, one shaky step at a time. The paintings lining the walls seemed to watch her, their expressions shifting as she passed. The footsteps grew louder, closer. She stopped, frozen by fear. "Do not look back," the note had said. But the urge to see what stalked her was overwhelming. Against her better judgment, Clara turned. What she saw defied all reason. A towering figure loomed in the hallway, its skeletal frame barely cloaked by a tattered black robe. Its face, or lack thereof, was a smooth, featureless mask. It tilted its head, as though studying her, and then slowly raised a single bony finger to point down the hall. Clara's legs buckled, but adrenaline surged through her. She turned and bolted, her feet pounding against the wooden floor. The air grew colder with every step, and the oppressive darkness seemed to close in around her. The hallway stretched endlessly, each door she passed locked tight. She glanced back, only once, and saw the figure gliding silently after her, its movements unnaturally smooth, like a puppet on invisible strings. Finally, she reached a door at the end of the hall and shoved it open. Inside, the air was suffocating, thick with the stench of rot. Bones littered the floor, some broken, others arranged in grotesque patterns. The walls were scratched with claw marks, and a chilling message was scrawled in blood: "No one leaves." She stumbled forward, gagging on the smell, when a metallic clang echoed behind her. The figure had entered the room, its mask now cracked, revealing jagged, gleaming teeth beneath. Clara scrambled backward, her hands brushing against something sharp. She grabbed it, a shard of bone, and held it in front of her like a weapon. The figure stopped, its head tilting again. Then it lunged, moving faster than anything human. Clara screamed as its claws tore through her sleeve, grazing her arm. She swung the bone shard wildly, connecting with its mask. The crack deepened, and the figure let out a guttural, inhuman screech. Seizing the moment, she bolted for a small hatch in the corner of the room. She dove through it, tumbling into a dark, narrow tunnel. But the figure's screech echoed after her, closer now, and far more menacing. The tunnel was a labyrinth of twisting paths and dead ends, the air thick with damp and decay. Clara crawled blindly, her hands scraping against the rough walls. Her arm throbbed from the gash, warm blood trickling down her skin. A faint light appeared ahead, a flickering, sickly glow that made her heart leap with hope. She dragged herself toward it, every movement agonizingly slow. But as she neared, the glow extinguished, leaving her in suffocating darkness once more. Behind her, the screech returned, louder and more guttural than before. The figure was coming, and it was closer than ever. Clara pressed on, biting back tears as the tunnel narrowed, forcing her to squeeze through jagged openings. Finally, she emerged into a cavernous chamber. At its center stood a pedestal, atop which rested a small, ornate box. The room was eerily silent, save for her ragged breathing. She approached the box, her trembling hands reaching for it. Before she could touch it, the figure appeared, its mask now fully shattered. Its face, or what remained of it, was a grotesque mess of sinew and bone, its empty sockets glowing with a malevolent light. "Your reward," it hissed, its voice no longer guttural but mocking. "Take it." Clara hesitated, but the screeching grew louder, this time from all around her. The walls of the chamber began to close in, the ceiling dripping with dark, viscous liquid. She had no choice. She opened the box. Inside was a mirror. At first, she saw her reflection, bloodied and terrified. Then, slowly, her face began to melt away, replaced by the blank, featureless visage of the figure. She screamed, dropping the box, but it was too late. Her body stiffened, her skin hardening into a smooth, white surface. In the morning, the manor stood empty once more. And in the town square, a new statue appeared, a perfect, lifeless replica of Clara, her face frozen in eternal terror.